Have you ever seen this happen? You can spend hours giving someone advice and nothing really moves. Then you ask one good question, and suddenly their face changes, their shoulders drop, and you can feel their energy shift. How can a sentence land flat, but a single question nudge someone onto a whole new path? It sounds simple, but it's deeper than it looks, and it shows up in everyday moments all the time. The thing is, our brains aren't built to just receive answers. We're wired to feel understood. From the time we're kids, we're trained to come up with the right answer in school, at work, in relationships. But the people who shape us most aren't usually the ones with the sharpest advice. They're the ones who ask the kind of questions that help us hear ourselves. A good question doesn't lecture. It draws out something the other person already knows deep down, but hasn't put into words yet. It lowers defensiveness, makes room for reflection, and helps them find their own way forward. And people are far more likely to follow a solution they discovered themselves than one that was handed to them. That's what we're diving into. Why the brain responds differently to questions, why some questions invite openness while others make people shut down, and a few simple, practical question patterns you can start using right away in everyday life. If you take this in, it may change not only how you talk to others, but how you listen to yourself. Why questions often work better than answers. When you give someone a direct answer, the brain often treats it like a finished task. Got it. Done. Moving on. But a good question does the opposite. It keeps the mind open. It makes you search, remember, connect ideas, and imagine possibilities. That's why quick answers can feel comforting in the moment, while meaningful questions are what actually lead to lasting change. You can see this in everyday conversations. A friend keeps venting about the same issue. You offer a solution. You explain it clearly, and somehow, they don't take it in, or they even get irritated. Not because your advice is wrong, but because in that moment they don't need to be fixed. They need to feel understood, and they need space to arrive at their own answer. That's where questions help. Try something like, what's the hardest part of this for you, really? Or, if this were solved, what would be different in your life? Questions like these shift the conversation. They move someone away from looping in frustration and toward what's actually going on. The brain stops defending and starts reflecting. Giving answers can feel like being in control, but asking questions is often the real way to lead, without pressure, without advice, and without turning things into a debate. Telling people what to think usually pushes them away. Asking what they think pulls them in. And that's what creates a connection that lasts. 3 magic words. What do you think? One of the strongest human needs is to feel heard. People love to talk, but not many feel like someone is truly listening. That's why 3 simple words can change a conversation. What do you think? When you ask that, you're really saying, you matter. Your opinion matters. And I'm here to listen. A lot of people go through life without anyone giving them full, undivided attention. So when you ask this question and actually mean it, when you make eye contact, put your phone away, don't interrupt, don't correct, and don't judge, it sticks. You might become the kind of person they remember for years, simply because you listened. You can see this clearly at home. It's easy to slip into telling your spouse, your child, or your sibling what they should do. But try pausing and asking, how do you feel about this? Then just listen, without rushing to respond. The tension often fades, because so many arguments aren't really about who's right. They're about not feeling heard. That's where open-ended questions help. Questions that can't be answered with a quick yes or no. Things like, what was the hardest part of your day? What are you most excited about? What would an ideal day look like for you? As people talk, they don't just share with you. They understand themselves better, too. And trust grows. Being truly listened to has a way of softening people. Clichés make people switch to autopilot. The brain can spot a lazy question a mile away, and when it does, it tends to check out. There are a bunch of ready-made questions we all hear all the time. How are you? How's work? What's your dream? What's your goal? Are you happy? They've been asked so often that most of us answer them without even thinking. Good. Thanks. Busy. Same old. You know how it is. It's not dishonesty, it's just habit. But when you ask something specific, and you genuinely mean it, people wake up. Their brain does, too. A thoughtful question feels new. It feels like it's actually for them, not just something you say to keep the conversation moving. Cliché questions can make someone feel like you're going through the motions. Strong questions feel personal. They include real curiosity and something you've noticed. Say a friend just started a new job. Instead of, "How's work going?" try, "What surprised you most in your first week?" Or, "Who have you clicked with so far? What did you have to learn the fastest? What do you miss from your old routine?" Those kinds of questions pull up real memories and real feelings. The generic version usually gets a generic answer. When someone can tell a question was asked with them in mind, they tend to open up, and they're often more honest. If you want to move away from cliches, add one small detail. Mention something you observed. For example, "I noticed you've been waking up earlier lately. How's that been affecting you?" Or, "What's changed since the last time we talked about this?" It signals that you've been paying attention, and that creates trust quickly. When people feel truly seen, they're more likely to open up. When you know your why, you can get through almost anything. Most people know what they're doing, but they don't spend much time thinking about why. And that why matters. It's the fuel behind every choice and habit. When you're clear on your reason, it's easier to stay focused, push through discomfort, and keep going when things get hard. Without it, you burn out fast. Small setbacks feel bigger, motivation fades, and quitting becomes tempting. You can see this in everyday conversations. Ask someone why they're doing something and they often hesitate, not because they're hiding anything, but because they've never really stopped to think about it. They'll say, "For the money, because I have to," or "because everyone does." But ask a deeper question: what makes this meaningful to you? And everything shifts. Their eyes light up, their voice changes, their energy comes back. That's where the real drive lives. It's worth asking yourself the same thing: why am I doing this? If your answer doesn't spark anything in you, that's a sign to pay attention. Should is a motivation killer. I should do this. I have to do that. The more you frame your life that way, the more it starts to feel like a weight, and your mind naturally pushes back. But when you ask, "Why do I want to do this?" you create meaning, and motivation starts coming from the inside. If you want to motivate someone, don't lecture them about what they should do. Ask questions that reconnect them to what they want. Instead of telling your child, "Study," ask, "What could change for you if you got really good at this subject?" Instead of telling your partner, "Go work out," ask, "How do you feel on days you exercise?" A strong why moves people from outside pressure to inner desire, and lasting change begins with inner desire. Silence can be more powerful than the question. One of the biggest mistakes people make after asking a strong question is jumping in and talking right away. You ask the question, a quiet moment follows, and it suddenly feels awkward, so you rush to fill the space. You explain what you mean, add examples, answer it yourself, soften it, or even backtrack. But that pause is exactly where the value is. Silence gives the other person room to think. A good question needs time to land. So ask the question, and then stop. Truly stop. Stay present. Make eye contact, give a small nod. But don't interrupt, don't check your phone, don't look around, and don't act like you're waiting for them to hurry up. It may feel strange at first. The other person might be surprised too, because a lot of people aren't used to being given that kind of space. But if you hold the silence for a few seconds, something shifts. The real answer starts to show up. Not the quick, rehearsed response, but the deeper thought underneath. Sometimes it's something they're saying out loud for the first time. Try it in a normal conversation. Ask someone, "What's been on your mind the most lately?" and then wait. If they don't answer right away, don't repeat the question, don't soften it, and don't explain it. Just let the silence do its work. That quiet says, without words, "I care about what you have to say. I'm not rushing you. I'm here." Listening builds trust faster than talking. Anyone can find someone to talk to, but it's rare to find someone who will listen patiently. And in that kind of silence, people can actually hear themselves, and often, that's when the truth finally comes out. Is this the best you can do? So far, we've talked about how good questions can bring us closer to other people. But what if we turn that same power inward? One of the easiest ways we sabotage ourselves is by deciding we've already done our best. Our brains love to conserve energy, so they're quick to settle. Good enough. It's finished. That'll do. No one will notice. This question interrupts that autopilot. Is this the best you can do? You're not asking it to shame yourself or anyone else. You're asking it as a mirror for you and for the people you care about. The way you say it matters. not as a harsh critique, but as a calm, curious, compassionate check-in. You finish a task. You prep a presentation. You clean the room. You write the message. You deliver the project. Then pause and ask, is this really my best? If I had a little more time, what would I improve? What's one small thing that would make this better? This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about being honest. Most of the time, you already know when you could do more. You're just tired, distracted, rushed, or tempted to coast. This question brings you back into focus. It nudges your standards up just one notch. And when you ask it of others, do it with the same care. If a friend shares an idea, you might say, "This is good. What do you think the strongest version of this could be?" That challenges them without cutting them down. People don't grow only because they're pushed. They grow because someone believes they're capable of more and invites them to reach it. This question does exactly that. It brings out your potential and raises your standards one step at a time. Step out of your cave and see the whole story. We all see the world through our own lens. Everything you've lived through, what you've seen, heard, and experienced, shapes how you interpret what's in front of you. It's easy to mistake your version of the story for the full truth. But everyone else is living inside their own lens, too, and their story comes with their own experiences and meanings attached. If you want to get closer to what's real, you have to ask questions and actually listen to the person, not the assumptions you've made about them. One of the quickest ways to shift your perspective is to ask about someone's beginning. A simple question like, "How did you start?" opens up their journey. Most people's start looks ordinary from the outside, but to them it's personal, and it usually explains a lot. When you hear that part of their story, your snap judgments start to loosen. Picture a coworker who complains all the time. Instead of writing them off, you could ask, "When you first started this job, what excited you the most?" That question can pull them out of complaint mode and back into who they were at the beginning. Their tone changes, their face softens, and suddenly you're seeing a fuller, more human version of them. Or think about someone who's always quiet. Without context, it's easy to assume they're cold or unfriendly. But if you ask, "Where did you grow up? How did you end up here? What's a hard lesson you had to learn?" Or "What changed you the most?" you may meet a completely different person than the one you imagined. Powerful questions help you step out of your own perspective and into someone else's. That shift can deepen your relationships and guide you toward calmer, fairer decisions. Instead of reacting to assumptions or surface impressions, you begin to see the person, their intentions, and the path that brought them here. How can you put this into practice right away? 1. Start with the 3-word rule. Today, ask 3 people you talk to, "What do you think?" Then really listen, don't jump in. Put your phone down, make eye contact, nod, and let them finish. 2. Swap out the cliches. Pick one default question you use all the time and make it more specific. For example, instead of "How are you?" try "What drained your energy most today?" or "What boosted it?" Instead of "How's work?" try "What surprised you most this week?" Instead of "How was your day?" try "Did anything small make you smile today?" 3. Add a why layer. When you're doing something, ask yourself why 3 times. Why am I doing this? Why does it matter to me? Why now? If your answers don't light you up, adjust the goal or let it go. 4. Practice silence. After you ask a question, count to 5 in your head. Don't interrupt, don't hint, and don't answer for them. Those few seconds give the other person room to think, and they build trust. 5. Ask the mirror question at night. Before bed, check in with yourself. Did I really do my best today? And what's one small thing I can change tomorrow to do a little better? 6. Use the beginning question. With someone new, or someone you've known forever, ask, "How did you end up on this path?" Listen to their story. Hold back judgment and skip the advice unless they ask for it. Try these 6 small practices for a week, and you'll likely notice 2 things. People start opening up to you more, and your own decisions feel clearer. Asking good questions isn't a special talent, it's a habit. The more you practice it each day, the more natural it becomes. Before long, without really trying, people naturally begin to trust you more, and you'll find yourself thinking more clearly and staying calmer.